listening to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Vanthuyne, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get excited. Welcome back, friends. When you meet people who embody both discipline and joy, you remember them. Today's guest is one of these people. Catherine Vu is one of Edmonton's most recognizable entrepreneurs, community leaders, and philanthropists. The kind of woman who proves that you can lead a business with strength and live a life with soul. From co-founding Proactive IT over 2 decades ago to becoming the heart behind the Vu Impact Fund, Catherine's story is a masterclass in courage, in curiosity, and consistency. She's a top 40 under 40 alumna. She's a marathoner. We've run beside each other at times. She's a 3-time hashtag 75 hard finisher. And if you don't know what hashtag 75 is, I tell you, go check it out. What it is around discipline and consistency again, and commitment. This woman also turned $38,000 of her own saving into a fund changing lives for women, children, and people with disabilities across Edmonton. But beyond the accolades, Catherine is pure realness. She's proof that you can build success without burning out, that leadership is about community over ego, and that gratitude and grit are the secret formula to living agelessly. So today, we're getting exposed.
I really like this, girl. I like how you describe me.
I love you. And I am excited to talk about this, the mindset behind our success, the habits, the heart, the human.
Yeah.
Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Stacey. It's an honor to be here. I mean, I've known you for a long time. We see each other in passing, but this is probably the most real conversation we have as adults, like in our, wiser women age. Right?
I mean, right before the show, Catherine and I were talking about the first time we met, and we met in the first year that I moved to Edmonton. I was teaching at Spa Lady, and Catherine was coming to the classes.
Yes.
So,
your
it's
class
funny.
was one of the fun ones, so I'd never try to miss those classes.
You were dedicated, I know, and we would sweat together and laugh together. And then I was telling her how over the years, we kind of just see in passing, we were saying, and now it's come to a place where when I was doing Xposed Living and I was thinking, who are people I know in my community that I want to make sure to have on a show? Literally, you're the first one that came to my mind. So I'm just grateful that you came and joined the show. She was saying also, Stacey, you didn't send me anything. And what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, welcome to being unfiltered.
Well, I'm good at unfilter. I mean, sometimes I'm trying to have a filter as I go older, because sometimes being direct is too much for some people, right? Like you just kind of need to soften it. So I've been working on that, like, try not to, but it's hard because my first reaction is directness. And I find that people say they want the truth, but sometimes it's hard to handle when you're not prepared for it. So,
you know what? I love where you're going right away with this, because I find that with people when you say, I'm coachable. And it's like, well, are you coachable past the limits of comfort?
Yeah.
Or are you just okay with getting direct feedback when it's what you want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that part that you're really wanting to learn? And, once you get to know Catherine, everyone listening to the show who knows Catherine, like your spirit, your heart is so authentically pure that you're really just giving to them to learn, because that's how you've gotten to where you are, by people being direct with you.
Yeah. Yes, because I mean, I always get questioned like, you post the craziest thing. And I'm like, well, what you see online is actually a real truth of my life. Like, it's not like, it's not Like I make it pretty. I don't spend time, like there's just too much to do or say it perfectly. I'm just excited sometimes and I just spill it out, right? And
I love that.
but if you are just being truthful and authentic, then you don't have to remember what you said because it's just out there, right? So
It's true.
that's just
And
how I am. It doesn't work for a lot of people.
but I think the reason it could not work for other people and works for you, it's because it's you.
Yeah.
It's your authenticity. It's how you show up in everything. And this is where, when I write that intro for you, it's so easy. Like, illuminate joy. You see a smile and it just comes out. So for me, I'd be like, I don't even think she's saying anything bad to me. It's just all smiles right now. I just hear it. It's a frequency, baby.
Uh, but sometimes I say things inadvertently, and lately I've been like listening to myself after, and I said, "Oh, I don't know if that person take it in the way that I intended." And then I think about it, and then I would message them and said, "Hey, I just said that. I don't mean it like against, you know what? Because sometimes you just in the moment you say things as a reflection of you, but if most people take it as a reflection of them, then it would be bad, right? So I'm trying to be more thoughtful that way. Yeah.
I mean, and I think that that's important to hear because one thing again that I admire about you is that constant reflection and how do I get better? How do I communicate more in an effective way? How do I say things in a way that people are going to understand or hear the intention to make the changes? Because my heart is in it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I am trying to be the best, but yeah, sometimes it's too direct and it's too competitive or whatever. And then you're like, holy crap, I came off very strong.
But well, let's dive into that
There's
because
there's
I
sometimes
think,
too much joy.
well, or you built one of Edmonton's most trusted IT companies in an industry that's historically male dominant. I think the reconnects was needed and living up to this. So what was that inner fire that kept you showing up in the early days, maybe in continuing today?
So I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Um, I don't, I was computer illiterate. So me being an entrepreneur running an IT company, it's just strange for my university friend in like the whole thing is strange. But I kind of got into that path and I didn't understand IT, but I love people and I have this full trust of whoever I meet. So I thought, I don't need to tell them how to do IT. They just need to do the work and make sure that the client's happy. And I can explain it to the client in a non-technical way, then that is good enough. And so I run the company by my gut, right? Like it's like what as a business owner, a woman business owner running a business, trying to do all the things, what do I care most when it comes to working with my vendors, with my partners? Like what is that? And I try to deliver that to my client. Like you don't want to be ripped off. You want to know that you're protected. You want to know that you're heard, because sometimes I find with IT I get clients that, hey, my friend did this, I think I need it too. And so I'm like, but why do you need it? You're not doing what they're doing. Your company is like a third of what they are, so you don't have to go to that extreme solution. So let's say, why do you think you need certain things, and just kind of do that consulting, like more conversation about where they want to go, and then try to match a solution or the text that match their personality. Because being in IT, like I use a contractor. That's how I started my business. I never have employees. Now I do, but in the past it's all contractors. So it's almost like a matchmaking business. It's what personality would work with this client? Like some clients wants things explained before you do anything. Other clients just get it done. Tell me how much I owe you. And so they're different personality, right?
Yeah.
So I always say I'm the matchmaker for techs and IT people matching together. And then they just know that no matter what, if I say that I can take care of you and do something, and if I screwed up, I will own up to it and I will take care of you and make it right. So I think having that build trust, because in the old days, IT was seen as sleazy, like a sales job and stuff. And I don't think anything should be like that. And you couldn't sell me that way. Like, I need to like you, I need to trust you. So that's kind of how I run my company.
I love it. I mean, I think it's very bold that you would even say, as a leading IT founder, that I was computer illiterate. But it's that realness again, and the truth that like makes you relatable. So in a time though, when you were like in the earlier days that you said, like, how did you have the courage to continue to persevere, or what was it?
When I was asked to start a business, like before proactive IT, I was like, well, I'm always that person. Well, what's the worst that could happen?
See?
Right? What's the worst that could happen? And then I said, can I handle the worst? So if I can handle the worst, then I'm all in. So I thought about what's the worst that could happen? If I start a company and fall flat on my face, I'm like, I have a very supportive family. I can always get them to support me. You know what I mean? So once you have the people that have your back, like, seriously, what's the worst that can happen? And I'm willing to work hard. Like, I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid to do things. So if you have that, I think you can start over at any stage.
And I'm curious,
your courage it takes for you to be like a comfortable job to go and be an entrepreneur, right? And I graduated at a time where there was not a lot of jobs, and I never got the opportunity to work in a corporation or anything like that. So entrepreneurship was like my own way of being a captain of my own fate, right? Like, how hard I work and how well I do things is how well I'm going to do life. So I had no choice kind of in that way, because I couldn't really find the job that fits what I wanted to do.
You know what? We're looking at that. Like, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions around entrepreneurship?
Misconception is that you have a balanced life.
I always say that balance is bullshit.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. We have ebb and flow. Sometimes you're all business. I used to be a workaholic. Like, I used to work from morning till 11. I would walk, like, the building that I'm in, the alarm would go at 11. And I don't want to know the code to disarm. So I have to make sure to leave my office by 11. Now I come home at 6, right? So and I travel way more. I from the time I started my working in entrepreneurship, 97, I never travel until 2008. Never travel, never take breaks. But now I do. And I think as I get older, I do know what feeds me so that I have the energy to work hard. And yeah, so I think it's like this, and that expectation. And then another thing that I find that, especially with women, they have their job, but they're scared to take the risk. So then they'll dip into entrepreneurship. That doesn't work. You have to be all in, because you cannot multitask on being an entrepreneur in terms of like, I'll do some of this, because then you just don't do anything really well, and you don't give your enterprise a chance to see where it can go, right? So you need to have 100% focus on that. So I think that's the biggest myth, is that you can dip your toes in. I didn't dip. I was all in. Started my business, $1,000 my credit card, cold calling, like all in. Like with like no, like, let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, then we'll do plan B. It was like no safety net. And sometimes I think maybe generalization, but women, we need a safety net. And when we are ready to jump, then we're kind of invincible, right? Like, have the skill. Like, I think if you have to have faith in what you're willing to do to make something successful.
So much power in that answer. Like, it is around that level of commitment, no matter what it is, right? You see this. I mean, I don't know if I should even broach this up, but I mean, I feel like that way when I entered in my marriage. I was kind of committed, kind of not. And guess what? It didn't work. I wasn't sure. I wanted this like output of having this happy family and having my kids. And then,
feeling this pressure of time, knowing that I'd loved harder, but thinking, no, it'll just work, and it didn't. And I use, like, we can use health. You're someone that's extremely healthy. You see this with people too. They're like, I'll meet you, Catherine, at the stairs to go. They go once, they want the results that you have, and you're like, lady, it's not just a one-time thing.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm one of the kind of person that if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like, there's no wishy-washy, oh, maybe. Like, my staff know when they tell me maybe, I take it as a no. Like, there's no maybe. It's yes or no. I'm fine with either answer, but maybe drives me crazy. I'm like, okay, maybe is no. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you're a no until you tell me differently. And so I show up for things, and I organize a lot of things. And I always re-ask the people that commit and show up. Unless you're sick, that's a legitimate reason. Like, or you're dead,
Unless you're dead, you better get here. But
Yeah.
but I think I love these messages, because I think that people just see let's just say the social media kind of output, but not the commitment that it takes to get the results that you get. That there is a level of commitment. There is embracing the suck. That has to have that willingness to fail to win. And when we
I
don't,
don't even
it's
think of
tough.
it as winning, being a person who can be trusted with her word. Because I try, like, I'm who I am, so I don't like people that say things but don't walk their talk. It's an automatic, like, oof,
Mistrust.
and then I'm done. I
You're
have
like, I'm a hell yes or hell no in every
and
area.
then, like, my mom raised us to say, I trust you until you break that trust. If you break the trust, it's almost impossible to get back. But I'm softer now, so you probably could. But I have that same kind of, that's how I run my life. So it's, it's a lot. Like, I can be very extreme. Like, I'm joyful, but I'm a lot black and white. And I'm trying to be more tolerant of the grays in life, right? Like, because black and white doesn't really work in life. Like, they're different blends. So I think as I get older, I'm definitely more understanding and patience and tolerant of grayness. But usually I'm black and white.
Listen, I mean, I love that there's different perceptions and different ways you come up, and I think there's a place for it. And I think that some people sometimes, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, they see life as very black and white, but only from their perspective of being right or wrong. So
Yeah.
how can we start to, like, see things still as, how I feel, but recognizing I come to that situation based off of my previous experience. So I may see it differently, and therefore it makes it gray to me, but for that person, it might be black and white, if that makes sense.
I totally get that, because I have a very strong opinion, and sometimes when I was younger, for sure, I definitely see things from just my perspective. But now, in order to I feel like I have more compassion. And when you have compassion, you see it, you try to view it from their perspective, and curious, like, interesting, what made them do that? Or why did they choose that versus this, where it's so obvious to me, the choice, right? And I find that if I come from curiosity as to why they do certain things, I'm more tolerant and patient and compassionate and empathetic. But I feel like if they're like that all the time and they never see the other, then I have less tolerant, right? Like, I give people that comfort. But for me, I don't know if I'm going around I feel like I'm saying things in circle, but it's so clear, like, that we all have different perspectives, and your perspective is your truth. And I always say, look at it from their perspective. They're not trying to piss you off, or they're not trying to hurt you. Because, like, I have example where, like, I would put on two different pair of shoes, right? Like, two different kind, they're same fit. And I do experiment. People don't notice because we're very much about ourselves and our experience and not what other people are
Right.
doing. So I think if we go from that, I think you think that people are watching you, they care what you do, or they care what you say, but sometimes they don't. Like, they do not. So if you go with that, then you're like, who cares? And even if they did notice it, it's like, that's something Catherine would do.
You're like, I'm challenging you. I was seeing how many people notice I'm wearing two different shoes today.
Yes. I even take a picture and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I did that by mistake the first time. And I think the second time was a mistake. I actually did it. And then I would try to point people to it and they don't notice.
I love this conversation where it's headed because I think that what stops so many people from doing bold moves or for following something outside of their comfort zone is the fear of what other people can think. And when we really take the time, as you've even articulated, that like they care so much more less than what you think.
Yes, exactly. You summarize what I said perfectly. And take it from me, I am a comfort security freak. Like, I like the same thing. I love knowing what to expect. Like, I love that. That's how I control a lot of my life. I know what to expect and boom, right? So for me to so when I am too much in my comfort zone, that's why you said you have to push yourself because you can't grow if you're in your comfort zone and you can't get the reward if you don't take risk. But that's hard. That's a hard 25 plus year lesson of doing that, of trying and going, I don't like it, but do it anyway, right? And that's why I do extreme things like, do stairs in -50. Well, because until you do it, you can't say that that's not for you. And now I freaking love being outside -50. I feel invincible. You just layer up, like that's a nice thing about a dry coat is you can actually be warm and safe in -50. I mean, you don't do it like 24 hours, like we don't have to. But yeah, an hour or two, you're fine, right? So, but I love nature though. I love all weather, and it rejuvenate me. So being outside is necessary for my being, my soul, my mental health, like all of it.
And maybe that's where we get balance because I think that we have this common, because I was saying, balance is BS. And I don't mean it in the way of a person can't feel whole following through on their goals, but to think that you're going to have a certain amount of time here and a certain amount of time here. And so, on those days where you were pulling out 12 hours, that you could rejuvenate your soul because you knew other activities that like put that life back into you. So it wasn't that you're consistently pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah. But now like I feel like, and in those days I sit a lot. Like I could sit in my desk on my computer for hours, but now I don't do that as much. And if I have a long day, I always make sure to start my day with movement because I know that gives me the energy to sustain. I'm lucky I have a lot of energy and it's natural energy and I feel very privileged for that because I know that a lot of people said they're tired just watching me do a thing, like a portion of my day, right? And so that's just natural for me. So I don't know it any other way. But even though when I have like a long 12-hour day of things and events or all the stuff, I'll get up at 5:30. So I can get that movement in so then I can sustain myself later.
These are all tips of people that are like, it is so good because if we're not taking that, it's being intentional with your time, right? And knowing what it is at once. And you had said that if it's not something that you feel in alignment with, you're going to say no to it. So it may be a long day, but it's also things that are
the things that make me
you.
happy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about.
I don't do a lot of things that I have to do now. I get to do it. Like that's my framing. I get to do so many things. And I love our city. So anytime I get to experience different experience, that feeds me. It brings me joy. And yeah, so carry me through.
Well, you give a lot to our city, and let's talk about a few of those things, because one of the times I'm sure that you went outside of your comfort zone was when you started the VOO Impact Fund, starting it with your own money, and $1,000 you put in for every year that you lived in the city. That's amazing. What inspired that decision, and how has giving back shaped who you've become?
So I want to say giving back started because I have a brother with Down syndrome. He's 34. And I remember saying to my mom that if we want to know what to do to raise a kid with Down syndrome, we need to be in the community that talks about it and do stuff. So then that's how we get involved in volunteering. And I used to volunteer with a lot. And then I start to get invited to fundraise. And because I love to do things that are fun and fundraise, I start to build this momentum. And I never see myself as having a foundation. I always wanted to be a philanthropist, but I didn't think you could be a philanthropist with $1,000. Like, you can be a philanthropist with any. So you have your talents, you have your time, and you have your resources. Those are the three things you have. So if you don't have a lot of time, then you try to give money. If you don't have a lot of money, then you give your time, or you give your talents, right? So those are kind of like those three things that kind of shifted in the different stages of my life. And so when I was doing my investment and it was going to be a bunch of tax, I don't know. I knew about the Edmonton Community Foundation for a long, long time, but I just never thought that I had enough money to actually do anything with it. But Edmonton, you can build so Edmonton Community Foundation, you can start doing a monthly check to for any foundation you want, like create a foundation with $100 a month to them. And it's amazing how fast that could grow. So anyways, I did this in 2019, I think, because we came here in 1981. I did 38,000. And then I try to give money into it. And now people can actually donate to my foundation if they want to. But I haven't gone that far. Like, I just kind of do it. And then every year you get to disperse 4% of your thing. And so it's going to live to perpetuity now,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool because
Really, it's building
you can
legacy.
have impact for a long, long time. And yes, there are organizations that have millions and millions in the community foundation, but you don't have to start that way. So I remember getting the foundation and have it a plaque and all this stuff, like, oh my God, this is real, right? But even then, it's kind of like peripheral to the other stuff that I do. So I think one day it'll probably mean more impact, but right now it's just kind of doing its thing that I don't really have to do. I just started it, and now the ECF is taking care of it.
You mentioned how much you love Edmonton, and you're involved with so many different organizations. What is something that you feel that is almost entrepreneurs' responsibility? Do you feel that type of way in Edmonton, if you live in this way, to play in the city, to work in the city? Like, I'm curious, how come you feel so committed to the city? Because not everybody does in that same way that you show that.
I want to say that like, I never thought when I started 20 years ago that. So the thing about me that is kind of different is that I don't sit there with a strategy session or a business plan and say, this is where I want to go. I just do it from gut. And then now there's a cumulative impact over the years, right? But you don't see that 20 years ago. And then you're here and you're like, oh, so you do. I think it's my belief in my gratitude to the city. Because I came here as an immigrant when I was 10. I'm grateful to my dad for sponsoring our family over. And the opportunity that I have to live in this city, to have the life I have, is all because of Edmonton. And Edmonton is a beautiful city. And if you volunteer and are committed to a lot of causes, you know that if you ever have a big ask and you send it out, people will show up and help you. Like Edmonton is so good with that, like so good at pitching in. But I hate hearing Edmonton or there's nothing to do in Edmonton or anything like that. But if you go to work and you go home, you go to work and you go home, then Edmonton is the worst city. But then you could live in Paris or Amsterdam or Australia and feel that way if you go to work and you go home and you're not involved in your community, right? So the more you're involved in your community, the more you know about things in your community, and the more you get invited to things in your community to celebrate your community. So I can't really give myself credit for having this plan, like this big grand plan to kind of build this like this. It just happened by aligning my value with doing things that I love. And then when you do something you love, and then more things come that you love, right? And that's just how, but I think that now if I get back, I think if you're a business owner, it is so good to give back to our community, because then people support you on other stuff too. And then once you support something, and then you ask people to support you, just be prepared to give back when they ask for your support, right? Like it's a give and take. You can't just take all the time. So it's a balance, and the world is a balance. Like there's a lot of work, not a lot of work, and it balances out over time. Are you hearing a rattling? Yeah.
I love it because I think that it also shows like kind of what Steve Jobs says, right? Like we can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can looking backwards. And one thing that has come through loud and clear for me in talking with you is that ability to trust yourself, to stay in alignment, to act with intention. And when you're doing it with a heart, like you're a heart-centered leader, that the good will follow. And you didn't even worry about that, like you're focused on outside of you, not yourself.
Yeah. I don't really like to think inside very much.
Awesome.
That's my practice, is learn how to like figure out what my brain wants, but sit quiet, So yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of thing about meditation and stuff, and I struggle sitting and meditate. And then I just realized that that's just not how I meditate. I meditate by walking in nature.
Trusting yourself?
Yeah. I know.
Staying
My intuition really, like that's how I run my company. And I try to disregard it many times. Like saying, oh yeah, I feel this, but let's just do it anyway. It never works out. It never does. Your intuition is there to protect you. It knows who you are. But sometimes it could be like too protective, you know what I mean? So that's why you have to push the comfort zone so that it knows. So then you expand the circle of what you're comfortable with and willing to rest.
I love that. Okay. I could talk to you for a long time, honestly, but I want to do my ageless questions on you.
Okay.
And you never know. We might have other people join. Like, who knows? Who knows? I honestly feel it's just your energy as well. It is just one of like rolling with it.
Yeah.
So if I was to ask you, what is one belief that you had in the past that you're no longer have? What is that?
That you have to know everything to actually take action, because you'll never be ready.
That's really good. What's one non-negotiable daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Movement.
What is one risk that acting before you're ready that's changed your life forever?
Like change your life forever is a big thing. Well, starting this business, being computer illiterate is one thing, but I remember being asked to chair 1,000 women and feeling I'm not ready, that I don't have the skill set to be a chair, and hesitating for like a couple years, I want to say. And then finally saying, well, I'll just do it the best I can. And that turned out to be such an amazing experience. So yeah, sometimes you're never ready to step into a role that, like, as a business owner, I'm a boss, right? Like it's automatic. But I didn't I didn't know if I didn't have the skill set to be that. And same with being a chair for an organization. I never felt like I was ready, But once you're in there, and I didn't gain my stride until 6 months in. And I was like 6 months in, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this the way I want to be run. And I think it's going really well. And then you just continue, right? So yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, another thing, this is like, I'm kind of mixing our ageless questions in here because you've mentored countless entrepreneurs through the University of Alberta Ventures program, right? And I'm curious though, that what's one pattern that you see that separates those who continue and not? Is it that commitment level that you mentioned earlier, or is there something else?
No, it's realism, I think. Because everybody starts a company and think they're going to, especially tech, they're going to be a billionaire because they have this cool idea. But it doesn't work a lot of time versus it does the time. So I think it's being realistic to what you expect your company to achieve.
I want to dive into that because I can't help myself, especially being so like, is it though because they think that it has to happen in a certain amount of time? And again, we're trying to control the output versus just like knowing and let the cards play kind of out as they're meant to play.
Yeah, just have a plan, do what is right for you, work hard, but you need to the thing is you need to generate revenue. You need to make money, and you cannot be in business and keep putting money in. And if you keep doing that, I've always made money from day one. So I don't know. But then I'm not a risk taker like some of these people who can put millions in and not see a result yet. So I'm not sure if I'm but in VMS, it's not about what would make us mentoring to make the enterprise successful. It's what would, how we help the entrepreneur so that they're equipped to run their enterprise and their business. So for me, it's teaching them balance, teaching them to take care of themselves. You can work hard, but your health is the most important. And when you neglect that, it has very detrimental results to all aspects of your life, not just your business.
This is it, right? So is that the piece of advice, or is there one other piece of advice that you would give your 24-year-old self about success, about love, about life?
You know what? If I say to my 24-year-old self, the network, getting to know people, be curious about people, be curious about why people do things. I think curiosity, I don't sometimes think I'm curious enough. And if I were to give an advice that would benefit you the most, I think it's a curiosity about everything, because then you can really find answers that you never thought of because you're not limited by your perception.
Right, right. Well, I tell you,
Maybe not
Catherine,
advice, but be curious and not
well,
just
Lane,
presume. Because
that,
I do assume lots because I'm really quick with my answer, right? So now I'm really trying to focus on curiosity.
I think that's incredible advice. Like lean in, right? Like why are they coming from? And I think it becomes, I mean, even with you, is that I believe in the good of people. People aren't going to. So if there's some type of rub or judgment of, it's like, they can't be right. So what's making them think that way? Like, let me just like understand a little bit. And
And
I think,
sometimes, you can ask the people yourself. You're
yeah,
like, hey, can you share why that you did that? Or I'm curious, right? And sometimes it's a shocking answer, and sometimes it's such brilliant insight that you're like, "Oh, I never thought of that."
so good. I mean, you're proof, Catherine, that leadership isn't just about the accolades, about the winning, as we said, but it's about impact and legacy, about showing up, being true to your words, lifting others up, and living with heart. Before we wrap up, if people aren't following you or want to learn more about how to get involved in this incredible city of us, where can they reach out to you and or learn more about your IT company?
Proactiveit.ca is my company. I'm on Instagram as Catherine Vu. Oh no, LinkedIn as Catherine Vu, Instagram as Catherine V, and Facebook as V Catherine Vu. But a lot of the fabulous things that the city does, you can find at exploreedmonton.com.
Thank you. So thank you to everyone
Thanks,
listening. This
Stacey.
is what Exposed Living is all about, doing more than talking about change, being the change. It's not about having it all figured out, as Catherine shared. It's about having the courage to start. And a lot of times that comes with leaning in and being curious about it. Because together, this is how we grow, this is how we get unity. And in a world I feel that's kind of separate right now, the best thing we can do is lean in and get curious. So thanks for joining me. Until next time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's it for today's episode of Exposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Exposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Exposed Living.